And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks for being with me on your Friday night. We have a few more top headlines left to get to, stories we've been following for the duration of their time here. We're going to do this now from New York to Los Angeles. We want to get an update on the Mayor Adams pending indictment dismissal, but also an update from the district attorney in Los Angeles, Nathan Hochman, about the Menendez brothers case. We'll start first, though, in New York. Live picture there over the Big Apple. And this is what we know. I want to read here from the Associated Press. The copy, they say as follows, that a federal judge today canceled the corruption trial for New York City Mayor Eric Adams and appointed counsel to advise him on how to handle the DOJ's controversial request to drop charges against the Democrat. Judge Dale Ho's written order means he will not decide before mid-March whether to grant the dismissal of the case against the embattled mayor of the nation's largest city. At a hearing on Wednesday, remember, the acting Deputy U.S. Attorney General, Emile Beauvais, cited an executive order by President Trump outlining his criminal justice priorities as he defended the request to drop charges. Adams confirmed at the hearing he accepted that charges could later be reinstated, a feature of the request to dismiss charges that has led critics to suggest that the mayor would be required to carry out Trump's plans to round up New Yorkers who are in the country illegally if he wanted to remain free from prosecution. So in the meantime here, we do want to show you some of these tweets here. Emma Fitzsimmons, she's a reporter at the New York Times. She covers all things New York politics. She says this, quoting Adams on Fox 5 today, asked there if Hochul's decision hurt their relationship. Adams says, not at all, and says, we work well together. He was asked, have you seriously considered resigning? He says, not at all. So Adams on Fox 5 New York today talking about New York Governor Kathy Hochul's decision just yesterday not to remove him from office there. Let's talk about this case first, as we have been all throughout the course of the week with our friend there, legal analyst and former federal prosecutor, Neama Rahmani. He joins me. Neama, good to see you. Happy Friday. I think we should tie a bow on this story for now, at least at the end of this week, because from what I remember, you called it. You thought that this would happen. A counsel has now been appointed by the judge in the case to go over some of the arguments the DOJ is making and to maybe rebut them or argue against them. Do I have that right?
That's absolutely right, Andrew. And we've been talking about this case and what Judge Dale Ho may possibly do. And we know that he can't force Emile Beauvais and his Department of Justice to prosecute the case because they can just choose not to do so. So the only real alternative here, and it's a possibility, it doesn't happen too often, but we talked about the Jussie Smollett case as an example recently where a judge disagreed with a prosecutor dismissing a case. And that judge appointed a special counsel. That was Dan Webb, who was a former U.S. attorney. And here we have Paul Clement, who is a former Solicitor General under the Bush administration. Very well-respected, reputable lawyer with a lot of experience. So now he's going to come in and argue as a special counsel, someone who's independent. Obviously, we've talked about special counsels a lot before, whether it be Jack Smith or David Weiss. But whenever there's a potential conflict situation, that's what's supposed to happen. So now you have an independent lawyer that's really going to take the other position. The challenge Clement is going to have, of course, he's going to have to argue that this dismissal was for an improper reason, still an uphill battle for him.
So just to clarify, Clement is not Adams's attorney.
That is correct. He is not Adams's attorney. Adams is represented by Alex Spire. Of course, Adams's lawyer wants the case dismissed, like the Department of Justice wants the case dismissed. Normally, the judge will rubber stamp it, but because there's this specter of all these resignations that we've been talking about, 7 career prosecutors, there's been folks who have tried to intervene in this case, saying that it's inappropriate what the DOJ is doing. It's that quid pro quo. That's why the Judge Ho wanted to appoint an independent lawyer to represent really the public interest and argue against what the Department of Justice is doing.
Could there be an event, though, where Clement agrees with the rationale for what the DOJ is doing, or no?
Certainly possible. The judge asked Clement to take the opposite position, but if Clement does his research and talks to the folks who made this decision, and if he believes that it was the right decision and it was proper under the law, I expect him to tell the judge that his analysis leads to the conclusion that the case should indeed be dismissed.
So, obviously, yesterday was a big political update in this entire saga. New York Governor Kathy Hochul kind of punting the decision, refusing to remove Adams from office. She has that power. He issued this statement in relation to that decision just yesterday, saying, I was elected by the people of New York City and its working class communities to uphold their values. And that is what our administration has done. Adams says, while there is no legal basis for limiting New Yorkers' power by limiting the authority of my office, I have told the governor, as we have done in the past, that I am willing to work with her to ensure faith in our government is strong. I look forward to continuing those conversations here. Now, from what I understand, Neema, this is all on a pretty short timetable. Do I have that right? Because Clement is going to get appointed. He's going to look at the arguments here, and then it goes back to the judge, and then the judge will issue a final ruling on whether it should be altogether dismissed. So Adams isn't out of the woods just yet, is he?
No, he's not. And that April trial date has been vacated. So that's not going to happen. That's good for Mayor Adams. And the judge will take briefing and make a decision in March. And either the case will be dismissed and then Eric Adams has to deal with probably candidates who are challenging him in the Democratic primary. Who knows? He may re register as a Republican if he has time, but it'll all be handled in the political arena. Or there's the possibility that Judge Ho denies the dismissal of the case. And again, there's not a lot of precedent for it. You and I have talked about it. Michael Flynn is an example where a judge in D.C. really refused to dismiss a case that the Department of Justice wanted dismissed. So if that happens, if the judge refuses to dismiss the case, then what will happen is the parties will appeal, both parties. Obviously, Eric Adams will appeal, but the Department of Justice would join that appeal and they would take the case up to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. And a three-judge panel there will decide whether Judge Ho made the right decision. So at least in terms of timing, we're not going to go to trial anytime soon. It would be well into 2025, maybe even 2026 by the time all this is sorted out.